Hi, I'm Emily Allen, and I'm a product manager with Eduphoria. I have about 13 years of experience in education. I recently worked for Lubbock ISD in the area of school improvement, and prior to that, I worked at Region 17. And today we also have Tara with us, who is part of the Eduphoria team.
Hey everyone, I'm Tara, a professional learning specialist with the training team at Eduphoria. I have nearly a decade of experience in education, starting in the classroom as a middle school science teacher, then working in school improvement as a director of curriculum and instruction in a small rural district. We want to take a few minutes to recognize one of the largest shifts in education, 2020. For most of us, it still feels like we are in uncharted territory. So many adjustments and new parameters tend to cause major concerns for how we evaluate learning in a less controlled environment. In the month of August alone, our online help guides at Eduphoria for online testing received over 5,000 hits. The Eduphoria team hears your concerns and would like to offer up a few thoughts, ideas, and potential solutions.
So, when we operate in an uncontrolled environment like virtual learning, then there's a certain level of error score which is just unavoidable. When it comes to testing security, there is little we can control when students participate in learning activities from home instead of from the classroom. So the solutions lie in what we can control as educators to minimize the error score as much as possible.
That's a great point, Emily. If we must continue to assess in a virtual environment, then as responsive practitioners, we must adjust our methods for collecting evidence of student learning. As educators, we know there is value in collecting summative data or providing an assessment of learning. Oftentimes, this looks like a series of multiple choice questions and allows for little creation on the part of the student. In my experience as a classroom teacher, there were very few surprises when examining data from a traditional summative assessment. In our virtual or even blended classrooms, summative assessments may become more beneficial when paired with formative qualities.
Agreed. Ongoing formative evaluations allow a teacher to make valuable decisions about student mastery. Continued use of formative strategies is still a best practice in virtual learning. It might be more of a challenge, but getting quick samples of what students know allows learning to either progress or circle back to prior knowledge as needed. There is absolutely a need and a demand for both assessment types, but the layout and delivery varies in this new environment.
Right now, we have the opportunity to evolve our use of these practices. With the start of the school year comes fun things like new school supplies, and in this case, new norms for classroom expectations. Working within your district and campus expectations for collecting evidence of student learning, how do you plan to assess your students? Are you planning to use traditional multiple choice items? If so, consider adding an extension that requires the student to justify their selected response. This gives you more insight into the thought process associated with the selection of A instead of B. Knowing that many resources are structured to assess students in an ABCD manner, it may be helpful to set the expectation for students to apply formative practices in a summative setting. In some cases, you may wish to designate a percentage of items to be paired with an extended response, so you will have a healthy mix of multiple choice and open-ended items.
That is a great point. Adding open-ended questions allows opportunities for you to establish what an exemplar looks like. Does it require the use of academic language or justification with cited sources? This helps when identifying what is an A in your class versus what is a B. Since we are at the mercy of technology, this is a great chance to put those devices to good use. Maybe your students create and submit a video, a slide presentation, blog, or audio files. If any of these becomes a successful method, then take time to address these practices as part of your norms and provide an exemplar for each one.
These practices are applicable whether you are teaching a classroom full of students or meeting in a virtual environment. Once these norms have been established, what doors will be open to you and your students? Collecting more authentic forms of student performance through student-generated products and open-ended responses results in a richer learning experience. Students utilize higher-order thinking skills to organize and communicate their thoughts. During the implementation phase of any of these ideas, there will be stumbling blocks. That's okay. There will also be opportunities to continuously improve the application of these practices. When refining your use of these strategies, look for ways to build community and learn from fellow superstar educators.
Being in a virtual environment doesn't prevent learning from happening, but rather it allows for unique learning experiences to occur. How the learning happens could look very different from what we are used to, and we are seeing some incredible examples of educators extending the boundaries of traditional classroom experience. For example, one Texas educator completed a road trip to historical locations in the state. She documented her adventure and shared it with students so they could see virtually where these historical events took place. How amazing is that? The other exciting part about virtual learning is that the class hours are no longer a strict 8 to 3 p.m. Based on challenges we give our students, learning can now truly extend throughout the day, giving students the opportunity to learn and study in a more personalized way. Like most things that challenge us, building a new foundation around learning only increases the possibility for future achievements. It's all about how we embrace this new norm and think outside the box. In closing, we at Eduphoria love and support educators. Our mission is to help educators grow in their craft.
We admire the work you have been called to do during these times. If you have some new ideas or unique learning opportunities for students or other educators, we invite you to share them with us. Use the hashtag EduVirtualSolutions.